Human archetype. What's up, spiritual family? And welcome to Mount Fitness MBS Ministry, where I am your host, Brother Mongoose. And I want to start by saying, some of you guys, if not all of you guys that are familiar with the channel, you know that that is a different greeting. The greeting that, the greeting that was appropriate and applicable, and is still appropriate and applicable in all of the other, videos, at least the ones covering the last 2 years or so, I believe. Those videos and that greeting, I refer to you spiritual family members of mine as anointed ones, and that title still applies. It's still applicable. It's still accurate. These names, these titles, these different positions that we grow to over the years, on each level, they are appropriate and applicable. And ultimately, they're all appropriate and applicable. So whether you're on a beginner's level, whether you're on an advanced level, or if you are on a initiate level, awakened soul is an awakened soul. A light bearer is a light bearer. An anointed one is anointed one. So I want to start by saying that, and then I'll also get into why I have been led to change the wording of the greeting, even though all of the other previously utilized greetings still apply. The reason being, guys, is, it's a spiritual reason, obviously, or of course it's a spiritual reason. And based on some of the latest research and study and prayer, meditation, and things that I've encountered in my own personal life, I've been led to view this greeting and this appropriate referencing from a perspective that says, okay, a kindergartner or a college student, they're still students. Kindergartners is just as much of a student as the high schooler. But you may refer to the high schooler or the college student a little bit more directly, a little bit more specific. And the same is true when it comes to the kindergartner. You may literally say it's a kindergartner. If you're out in public, you may say, yeah, I got, a couple kids in school. If you don't break it down, you may not, but you may say, I have kids in school. That could be a kindergartner, 5th grade, high schooler, or so on. But to address it in a little bit more precise way, this is the term that was given me. And again, based on the things that I just mentioned and the messages that were being downloaded to me from this thing that we call Infinite Source, the messages that I would presenting and making, and again, some things going on in my own personal life, this term was downloaded to me. So let's get into it, guys. We know what it means to be human. But do we really? Do we really? Or do we really just know what we've been told it means to be human? So the human archetype, we know what the word archetype means. And again, we know what the word human means, although we're going to break that down to make sure that we are clear on this level that we've all grown to now be on. We're going to make sure that we're clear about what that word human means. But for now, we'll temporarily suspend questioning that. So we'll say we know what it means to be human. When it comes to the word archetype, and you have to forgive me if I were to say architect, it's a new term. So and I'm pretty excited about it. So forgive me if I, had a verbal typo, if you will. But yes, archetype. That's the word. So we know what this word means. It means something that's in the original form, something that's in an exemplary form, something that's in the highest state or form, something that's ideal, something that's premium, something that's hitting on all cylinders. This is the architect, the archetype. And that's what you are. You are the human archetype. If you've gone through this brutal seasoning, or if you're going through this brutal seasoning of awakening, and all of the things that represents, and you refuse to yield, you are already a human archetype. Because had you not been in your spiritual DNA a human archetype, you would have surrendered or been washed away and consumed like, unfortunately, so many others, dare I say the majority of others in society have been. But there's something about you. There's something unique. There's something ancient. There's something beautiful, something powerful, something unique about you. And that something is you being this human archetype. That's why you're still standing. That's why you're still fighting, or that's why you've cleared certain hurdles, and now you're at a level that when you look back, you can see all the hurdles that you've cleared, and you're comfortable being there. You're happy. You're content while you continue to move forward. But there's no doubt anymore. There's no sense or no need to have to fight against all of the things that you may have had to fight against on the lower levels or during the lower or previous phases of your awakening. So you are the archetype. You're the person. By way of the energy that's in you, you're the person that represents what it really means to be a human, to be the highest quality of human, to meet the highest standards of a human. Not in an arrogant way, not in a, I've arrived type of sense, but in a sense that says you're committed to a standard of excellence in all that you do. Whether or not you achieve that excellence, ultimately, it doesn't matter. Ultimately, the only thing that matters is your commitment to achieving that level. He has for each and every last one of us certain things that we are to accomplish, certain things that we are to achieve, and certain things that we are all individually purposed for. So the depth and the breadth of that which you achieve and are meant to achieve from a divine standpoint may vastly exceed that which is predestined for me or others to achieve. Not everybody's going to go through high school and go to college and then become a college grad and go on to become whatever metaphor you want to use, lawyers, judges, presidents. Some are going to fulfill their God-given destiny to what, just for a point of reference, we could say is not quite as high on the podium, if you will, in terms of their purpose and their achievement. But just like the big picture or the big piece to the puzzle, the so-called little piece of the puzzle is just as important. Because you could take a big piece out and that puzzle could be incomplete, and you could take a tiny, tiny piece out and that puzzle will be just as incomplete. It's an incomplete puzzle. So whatever your level of divinely orchestrated purpose is, you're here to operate in that, to become aware of that so that you can operate in it and do so in excellence. Whatever that field, whatever that area that you operate in, employment, job careers, relationships, etc., etc. That standard of excellence, that commitment to achieving that, that commitment to embodying and exemplifying that in every single thing that you do. And when I say everything, I mean everything. Yes, I mean that specific area, that specific field of expertise, employment, family life, whatever it may be. Yes, I mean that specifically, but I also mean specifically in everything that you do. So there's two types of specificities that I'm referring to when it comes to you being that human archetype. It's about setting that standard of excellence and standing on that standard. This begins with you knowing what it means to be human. Now, I know on the surface level that may be a perfunctory question, may even be a rhetorical question, but is it really? Because humanistically speaking, we've been taught that, what you see in the mirror, the person you see in the mirror, that's what it means to be human. What it means to be a successful human, we've been taught, is based on the amount of money that you have, the amount of education that you acquire. Having such an amount of money determines, the depth and the breadth of your humanity, your accomplishments, your worthiness. And so if you only have a certain amount of money, then you're not there yet when it comes to somebody who has a little bit more. And they're not there yet when it comes to someone who has a little bit more, and so forth and so on. So we could see, based on that characterization, that that's not what it means to be human. It's not about what's in your bank account. It's not about what's not in your bank account. It's not about what you see when you look in the mirror. Who you are is just a form following the function of what you are. And what you are is, for the sake of today's message, a human archetype / when you look in the mirror, you are either a good person or you're not. How much money you got in the bank, what you look like, how much well-conditioned or lack thereof your body is. These things are not the things that define what it means to be human. So the very essence of being a human archetype begins with us fully understanding what it really does mean to be human. Doesn't mean that you start off and you go to school and you finish school and somewhere along the line you meet your spouse and you get a job and you pay your bills and you have kids and God willing you send them off to college and you work until you 65 I believe is the retirement age nowadays. You work until you're 65 and then you go out and get that sports car or that yacht that you're too old to even really enjoy. That's not what the meaning of life is. To be a human archetype, the exemplary form of a human being, starts with you being able to understand and embrace the truth about what it means to be human. And that in and of itself leads us directly into the starting line of it all, which is to say, understanding that you're more than just your body. You're more than just your mind, and you're more than just your spirit. The true human archetype has grown, has evolved to this point to where they really, really understand this. And they really understand that only until a person is able to properly merge, balance, and synthesize their mental self with their physical self, with their spiritual self, only then can a person really achieve wholeness and fulfillment. So having all the money in the world ain't gonna do it. Having all the physical fitness in the world ain't gonna do it. Going to church and the mosque and temple and all these things 7 days a week ain't gonna do it. Not if you are neglecting the other three aspects and elements of what it means to be human. You are a mind, a body, and a spirit, all joined in one. And it's up to you to do something every single day that shows thanks and appreciation for them all. That causes you to set the standard of excellence, whatever that standard is for you, to set that standard of excellence when it comes to your mind, your body, and your spirit. Not comparing yourself to someone else, and not saying that excellence means, I got to get down to a certain pant size. I got to get down to a certain dress size. That standard of excellence doesn't mean that, I got to be as sharp and as witty and as intelligent as the next guy or girl. There are guys and girls out there that are vastly more intelligent than I could ever even hope to be. But I'm here to set that standard of excellence by way of this thing we refer to as primary source. To set that standard of excellence for what's excellent for me. And you're here as a human archetype to do the same for when it comes to you. It means growing and evolving to know that being a human, a high quality human or not, it's not based on your political views. It's not based on being able to keep up with the Joneses. It's not based on what's in your bank account. It's not based on your physical conditioning. It's based on your overall conduct, your attitude, your beliefs, your manners, your goals, and your intentions. These are the things that determine how well, how evolved, how grown up you are as a human being, and certainly as a human archetype. It's about you knowing that when you prioritize your mental self, your physical self, and your spiritual self, that you are completing a prerequisite for your growth, for your development, and for your evolution. This is what it means to be human. This is what it means to be a human archetype. It means knowing that you have spiritual gifts, physical gifts, psychic powers, spiritual powers, mental, creative faculties that aren't labeled, that aren't outlined in books and the inside the box culture. It means going through the fiery furnace to realize that there's something about you that transcends the limiting doctrine or indoctrination that may come from books, what we see on the news, what our family members taught us growing up as kids, and what society try and tells us we are to be, and try and tells us what it means to be human. It means awakening to what we most commonly refer to as the matrix. It means if and when the day and the time comes, you are willing to outgrow your religious beliefs, if need be, your political beliefs, what you've been educated and indoctrinated into believing, the things that are about your race and your culture that you have once upon a time may have been beholding to, and sometimes even outgrowing what science says. Because those of us who are initiated, those of us who are truly operating at the pinnacle of what it means to be a human archetype, we know that scientists has tons and tons of blunders that they don't admit, tons and tons of things that they can't explain, rationalize, or reason. So we know that science itself is fallible. But we know this thing that we call this infinite source, it doesn't make mistakes. It means being willing to go through the fire. Let me be clear, guys. This fire takes time. It takes pain. It takes suffering. It takes anguish. It takes resilience, perseverance, strength, and faith. Because not necessarily that the obstacles that we face are so insurmountable in and of themselves, but it's because we haven't received the education, the knowledge, the insight, the guidance on how we are to deal with these things, how we are to navigate these things, and ultimately transcend these things. You ever heard the saying, everything simple is not easy? And you may say, well, how can that be? Because it's simple if you know how to do it. But if you don't know, then something simple can be quite difficult if you don't know how to do it. Hence, 1 + 1 = 2. You remember the joke of a kid learning what 1 + 1 equals? And he had no idea, and he said 1 + 1 = 11. You heard that joke before? But once she knew, it was easy. Because it was simple once they knew. So it's about going through these fires and being able to ultimately look back and realize, wow, that wasn't so difficult after all. It's just I didn't know how to deal with it. Everything I was taught, everything I was indoctrinated to believe was limiting, was a ball and chain being tied, to one, and one really, really being able to zoom out and say, okay, hold on a second. What's the truth here? What's really going on here? So as I wrap this up, guys, and this is just a brief intro, I may actually type this or title this as an intro. But it's about, again, setting that standard of excellence. What does it mean to be a human archetype? It means setting that standard of excellence. Again, whether you achieve it or not, whether you fall down or not, whether you have support systems or not, whether you're standing all alone, whether you're leading the crowd, it's about having that standard of excellence. And this is true in particular when it comes to difficult times, difficult situations, difficult circumstances, when you're dealing with difficult or negative people. Anybody can pretty much highlight or exemplify excellence when everything's going great. That doesn't require one to be a human archetype. But what sets you apart is your ability to deal with whatever challenges they are, whatever, again, negative people, mistakes caused by your own hand. You being able to exemplify excellence in mind, body, and spirit in the midst of that storm. You being able to lead and serve as an example to all those in the neighborhood, the family reunion, on the job, society at large, to be able to serve as an example that says, hey, look, this is how a true human being handles this situation. When they're down and out, or when they're prosperous and living in the empire. You know, their money is right, their health is right, they got all the friends, all the love they meet, all they need. This is how a true archetype handles it. They don't negate their prayer life. They don't start looking down their nose at anyone. They give back, they're charitable. You set that excellence. And at the same time, whether it's that end of the pendulum or it's in the most trying, most toxic, most brutal type of situation that you can imagine. Maybe it's finances, maybe it's health issues. Your standard of excellence, your responsibility as being a human archetype is to say, this is how you handle this. When you fall down, when the world betrays you, when no one else believes in you, when you're the only one left standing. This is how you handle it. This is a level that some of us are on, and this is the level that we are encouraging most of you guys to keep fighting, to keep battling, and to reach out for good old-fashioned fellowship, because as I mentioned, ultimately, what you're going through isn't nearly as challenging as it appears. It's just simply, you just like myself, we wasn't equipped. We wasn't given an instruction manual on how we deal with this. All the instructions that we got were about this inside the box, misguided notion about what it means to be a human being. That's all the information we got. So, as I get out of here, guys, this is what it means. And this is why that's a brief download to you guys about what was downloaded to me as it relates to me being divinely ordered to utilize this new term, this new point of reference. Human archetype. Being the most exemplary human being that you possibly can be. To know that there's more to you than just your job, more to you than just your spouse, your kids, your parents. There's more to it there's more to you than that person that you see in the mirror. It's more to you, than your social surroundings. There's much, much more to you. And when you decide that come what may, you're going to walk in this excellence / the pursuit of this excellence in your attitude, your conduct, your behavior, your mannerisms, your abilities to persevere and push through without becoming bitter, without blaming others, your ability to reach that mountaintop, reach that promised land, and not forget about those who are still struggling. This is what it means. To know that your potential, your capabilities vastly exceed what you've been led to believe it does. You representing the true, original human before the fall, this fall that we call in the garden. That's what it means to be a human archetype. So that's what I got for you guys. As always, if the Holy Spirit moves me to make a chapter 2 on this subject, I will. But for now, I'm going to get out of here. I want to again thank you guys for tuning in. If you're interested in services that are designed to help nourish you mentally, physically, and spiritually, please watch a video that's titled MBS Service Tutorial. It's going to break down all of the different services from good old-fashioned motivational speaking to ISSA certified fitness training, philosophical consultative services, etc. It's going to break them all down and tell you which ones are good for different aspects of you. The mental you, these are good for the physical you, these are good for the spiritual you. So check that video out. Again, it's MBS Service Tutorial. Please check out the physical fitness branch of the ministry located at mountfitnessmbs.com. If you have any questions, if you're interested in using some or perhaps all of the services, reach out by way of email. I'll leave down in the description box. Please be sure to remember that whatever good seeds that you pour into this ground, you add power, you add magnitude to this message. You add power, you add more magnitude to this ministry. That's what happens when you pour any good seed into this ministry. You do receive that harvest, and this is what you give back to the ministry. All the things that I just mentioned, plus much, much more. It really does help this ministry keep going. So do one or more of the following things. Give back to this ministry and receive your harvest by faith. Those things consist of hitting the share button, hitting the subscribe if you aren't already subscribed, hitting the bell icon for notifications, and hitting the thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm. You can also make a monetary donation. I'll leave a Cash App link down in the description box, and know that your generosity, your love, your willingness to give back by any of these means, it really does mean a lot to this ministry. It means a lot to others who aren't even familiar with this ministry yet. But if you got value out of today's message, that's a clear indication to you that others can also get value out of today's message. So do those things if you will. Also, you can do something as simple as leaving a comment, inquiring about the services, utilizing the services, checking out the website, whatever the case may be. And then definitely please watch a video that's titled My Testimony and Disclosure. That's a personal courtesy to me. And it's a big shout out to this thing that we refer to as God. But that's what I got for you guys. I'll see you guys in the next one. Go out there and be this human archetype. That's what you are. Whether you've arrived there yet and still pushing forward, or you're not there yet, but you're still pushing forward. That is your destiny. So that's what I got for you guys. Again, I love you all. I'll see you in the next one. I am Brother Mongoose, and I will holler back. Peace.